Welcome to Witches in Yoga Pants, your cozy corner of the cosmos, where modern magic meets everyday life. We're here to explore magic, mindfulness, and personal growth with a grounded, no-fluff vibe. Whether you're into moon rituals, tarot spreads, or just trying to survive Mercury retrograde, you are in the right place. So get ready to disrupt some old patterns, explore what it means to reclaim your power, and remember who you really are. So pull up your yoga mat, light a candle, and let's get into it. Welcome to episode 1. Here we are. Wow, there were times I thought I honestly would never get here. I had to accept that, especially when you're just starting out, it's not going to be perfect. Editing your own podcast, that is no joke. So to everyone out there who's making it look easy, huge kudos. For me, even how tech savvy I am, there were still so many pieces of this process that felt challenging to me, which is actually why I thought this might be a perfect place to start. So let's talk about our quantum human design charts. Not all episodes will be about this, but I thought given the nature of the journey to get me here to this first episode, this is a good place to go. So let's talk about gate 28 in the human design chart. I am absolutely certain that this gate is why some of the things like editing and launching this very podcast feel a little harder for me than they might be for others. Tasks that seem simple or easy on the surface, they might take extra time and energy for me. And I've lovingly nicknamed it the struggle bus gate. But here's the beauty of knowing this about myself. Now that I understand this gate and how it operates in my chart, I can simply notice it, smile, and keep going with a lighter heart. Sometimes I even laugh out loud at it. I'm like, oh, here it is. So that's the power of awareness. It doesn't remove the challenge, but it transforms how we carry it. So let's dive in. If you don't have your quantum human design chart and want to follow along more personally, you can head over to createyourvibrantlife.com and download a free chart. Gate 28 is known as the gate of adventure in quantum human design, and it lives in the splenic center, which governs our intuition and our survival. Now, this gate is part of the channel of challenge, which is all about the drive to fight for a meaningful life. The overarching theme of it is to find purpose through meaningful risk and courageous living. At its highest expression, this gate invites us to live boldly and take risks that align with our inner truth, and to find adventure in the pursuit of purpose. It's not about reckless behavior. It's about saying yes to the things that your soul came here to experience, even if they defy logic or comfort. When this gate is operating in its highest frequency, it creates people who are protectors, pioneers, healers, the way showers of the world. These are the people who take on missions or causes that matter deeply, not because they're easy, but because they're worth it. There's a kind of sacred grit to the gate 28. In its awakened form, a willingness to endure struggle because it serves something greater. This energy helps us learn how to share from the depths of our lived experience, our struggles, our triumphs, and everything in between. And it teaches us to persevere, knowing that every adventure we take on adds depth and richness to our life story. And through that, we contribute to the collective understanding of what's truly meaningful and valuable. Now, there are challenges with this. The challenge, or the growth edge, often comes in the form of anxiety and fear that life has no meaning. This might sound like, what am I even doing here? Does this even matter? Is all of the struggle really worth it? Is it for nothing? It can lead to a cycle of questioning, overthinking, and even paralysis. And that's kind of where I was with starting this podcast. Without clarity, this energy might pull us into a constant intensity or even low-level crisis just to feel something, just to feel alive, or like we're moving towards something that matters. This is just being stuck in the struggle and living there. But the deeper lesson is discernment, learning which battles are actually worth fighting and which ones are just distractions in disguise. When you're operating in the shadow of this gate, so all gates have a high expression and then a shadow aspect. And for this one, the shadow, it can turn into an addiction to the struggle or the drama. Being stuck, like I said, in that struggle. You might find yourself, other ways it could show up. You might find yourself staying in toxic relationships or unfulfilling roles because you believe that they must mean something, constantly searching for purpose outside of yourself, choosing difficult or chaotic paths just to prove your worth, resisting ease because somewhere down deep inside you believe that harder equals more valuable. This is where the mind begins to loop around a very specific limiting belief. If it's not hard, it must not be important. That's a red flag. That is, you're operating from the shadow of this gate. And if you let that belief drive your choices, you can end up being stuck, afraid to begin anything unless the path guarantees pain, failure, or a sacrifice. But here's the truth. Struggle is not a prerequisite for purpose. Meaning does not require suffering. Ease can be a sign of alignment, not laziness. So if you want to know how this gate shows up for you personally, if you have the gate 28, it's the number 28 in your chart, colored in, should be like a dark black circle, looks colored in. This energy is going to be consistent in your life. You likely have a constant internal drive to seek purpose, and you might even feel most alive when you're facing a challenge that feels deeply meaningful for you. You've probably learned a lot about resilience, and you may even thrive in intensity, but your growth edge might be learning to balance the desire for meaning with the value of rest, ease, and joy. On the other hand, if this gate is open or undefined, it's just going to be white on your chart. This energy is inconsistent for you, and it's something you experience through others or in certain environments. You're not meant to live in that struggle energy full time, but you might still absorb it, amplify it, or feel confused by it, especially if you're surrounded by people who have it defined. In this case, it can show up as feeling lost or disconnected from purpose, taking on other people's challenges as your own, getting caught up in causes or dramas that don't actually belong to you, avoiding meaningful risks out of the fear of pain or failure, or consistently shifting your sense of purpose depending on who you're around. The wisdom here is learning that your worth is not tied to doing something epic all of the time. You're allowed to let purpose unfold naturally. You're allowed to experience life with softness. And in doing so, you become someone who can help others discern what's truly worth their energy. So, whether you're someone who lives in this gate consistently or experiences it temporarily through others, Gate 28 offers powerful insights into how we relate to purpose, challenge, and struggle. It asks us to slow down and ask, is this struggle meaningful? Am I chasing something because I truly want it or because I feel I have to? And am I resisting ease because I'm afraid it means I'm not doing enough? This is the gate that teaches us to stop glorifying hardship and to start living courageously aligned lives. Lives that are meaningful, not because they're hard, but because they're true. And that brings us to the end of our very first episode. If you're still here, thank you. Starting this podcast has been its own Gate 28 adventure for me, but I believe in the power of sharing, of storytelling, and helping others feel seen in the messy, beautiful process of living a meaningful life. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Please share it with a friend, download this podcast wherever you're listening to it, follow along, leave a review. You can also come find me at createyourvibrantlife.com. And remember, your path doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep choosing the kind of adventure that feeds your soul.